Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy, and if you have watched my yesterday's video where I told you Derek Lewis was supposed to headline UFC Kansas City card after Jamal Hill pulled out and Hill vs Roundtree got cancelled. Now the new reports have arrived where we learned that after the cancellation of UFC Kansas City main event, UFC tried to book Derek Lewis vs Jonathan Diniz for the main event of that card, but thankfully we dodged the bullet and instead we got Ian Gary vs Carlos Prates. Moreover, UFC tried to make Kevin Holland vs Carlos Prates first, but that fight also could not be made and Gary accepted the fight on just 25 days notice. But the bullet we dodged hits more harder, as according to the reports, Derek Lewis will now headline UFC's Nashville card on July 12th against Talishan Teixeira, who is coming off his debut win over Justin Tafa, where he knocked out Tafa and got the performance bonus. I don't know who are the fans who want Derek Lewis in the main event against no one's. Anyway, another top heavyweight fight that was rumored, it was Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Volkov for UFC Atlanta on June 14th. Now Alexander Volkov have confirmed in an interview that he doesn't want to fight Jailton Almeida because he is ranked behind him at number 6. Volkov says he wants to fight someone who can get him the title shot if he gets victorious. A fight that is officially announced for UFC Atlanta card is a women flyweight bout between Jamie Lynn Horth versus Teresa Bleda, and I know you do not care about this fight, so let's move on to the UFC Azerbaijan card, which will happen on June 21st. A heavyweight fight is added on that card. It is Muhammad Usman versus Hamdi Abdul Wahab. The bout was originally scheduled for May 17th card when the card was scheduled for Qatar, but now that card is not happening in Qatar and it will take place in Apex, so this fight is now moved to UFC Azerbaijan. Another fight that is announced, it is for UFC Vegas 107 card on May 31st. Number 3 ranked UFC women bantamweight Caitlin Vieira will take on number 5 ranked Macy Shizan. This fight is now booked for the third time. Vieira is coming off a loss to Kayla Harrison, while Macy Shizan is coming off 2 performance-earning KO wins. Now, as well as the UFC Kansas City card is concerned, there are 3 more fights that are added on the card. Chris Gutierrez will take on John Castaneda in a featherweight bout. Timmy Koumba will take on Roberto Romero in a featherweight bout. Both are winless in the UFC. And in the bantamweight bout, Damon Blackhear will face Alatan Lee. And official fight announcements from the UFC end here, but an interesting news came from Mateusz Gamrot, who claims that UFC has told him if anyone from Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett pulled out from UFC 314 card, he is the one who will replace him and save UFC 314. So in other words, you can say he is the backup for the co-main event of UFC 314 card. Other than these fights, Sergey Pavlovich hints at a potential fight against number 2 ranked Cyril Gane via Instagram. Moreover, Joe Pyfer also says that his fight with Kelvin Gastelum will now be rebooked for another UFC event, but the date is still to be determined. From the boxing world, a huge women fight is announced from Jake Paul's MVP promotion. Alicia Baumgardner will make the 6th defense of her undisputed super featherweight 130-pound belts against the undefeated 12-0 interim WBA super featherweight champion from Spain, Jennifer Miranda. This fight will take place as the co-main event of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 3 at Madison Square Garden on July 11th. Another women world title fight is announced from 360 promotion on May 17th card in Commerce, California, where 7-0 Japanese Mizuki Hiruta will make the 4th defense of her WBO super flyweight 115 pounds belt against Argentinian Carla Merino, who is currently riding a 13-fight win streak. Other than these two fights, there is no other big fight that is announced in the boxing world in the last 24 hours. But we have some strong rumors from Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Road Jr. 2 undercard fights. First, it is rumored that O'Shaquie Foster will take on Stephen Fulton in the co-main event of Davis versus Roach 2 card. Moreover, WBA 160 pounds middleweight champion Erislandy Lara will also defend his belt on the card, and Jermel Charlo will also return in a showcase bout on the same card. These are still rumors, but as soon as they will be confirmed, I will let you know, so do not forget to subscribe. Now let's talk about some big potential fights that are officially ordered but are yet to be made. First is Daniel Dubois versus Derek Chisora. Yes, the IBF have now made their number 2 ranked heavyweight Derek Chisora the mandatory for Daniel Dubois. They have ordered Dubois to defend his belt against Chisora on April 22nd. If you don't know, Dubois is currently in talks to fight Alexander Usyk in an undisputed heavyweight title fight. Moreover, Dave Allen has revealed that Eddie Hearn has told him the winner of him versus Johnny Fisher on May 17th card will be facing Derek Chisora next. So let's see where the things go. WBC interim flyweight champion Galal Yafai versus Francisco Rodriguez was ordered. Now, Matchroom have won the purse bids for this fight, and the date and venue will be announced soon by Matchroom. Other than these, the WBO have now officially ordered Sebastian Fundora to defend his WBO super welterweight title against the mandatory Xander Zayas. The parties have only 20 days to reach a deal to avoid purse bids. Other than these title fights, the IBF has ordered a final eliminator fight between number 9 ranked Austin Williams and number 2 ranked Etinosa Oliha to determine the mandatory challenger for Janibek Alemkhanuli's IBF World Middleweight title. They also ordered a fight between number 3 ranked super middleweight Kevin Lele Sadio versus Osles Iglesias as an eliminator for the super middleweight title currently held by William Skull. The last fight they recently ordered was Paddy Donovan versus Lewis Crocker 2. Donovan successfully won his appeal with the IBF after his controversial DQ loss to Lewis Crocker in Belfast due to landing a punch after the bell. Then the last but the not least, it is not officially ordered, but Naoya Inoue finally called out Gento Nakatani publicly for a fight in early 2026 in Tokyo, and Nakatani has accepted the challenge. Boxing fans all around the world wants this fight to happen, and this is gonna be huge for the Japanese boxing if this fight gets made. And that's all in this video. Like it if you enjoyed, give your feedback in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel to show your support, and then do whatever you want.